I mean, it's just interesting to like still be meeting by Zoom. It's a very, yeah, who would have expected this much disruption for so long? I do meet people, not a majority, but some minority of folks who have used this time to quiet down, to get more peaceful. And it's interesting whenever I meet one of them, you know, where it's almost like those folks tell me, well, why not take the program? You know, that if life is saying you can't run around quite as much, you can't be as I mean, you can be as busy as you want, you just can't do it in public. But if you can't entertain oneself as easily, then there is maybe some like wisdom in that. It's an interesting thing, excuse me, when I meet the modest number of folks who have embraced this and who have like said to themselves, nice opportunity to work on my restlessness and work on my lack of peace. I just had this from a friend in Florida who I visited last time I was in Florida, and I would have probably seen her again when I traveled, but I can't travel. And we were just texting, and I mean, she basically, as a number of people have said, but by no means the majority, I've been going more inward. And I've been learning to just quiet down my rhythms. And it's just an interesting reflection. I mean, just normally about like whether we're in harmony with our environment. You know, so if the environment is offering us less stimulation, like what do we do with that? You know, it's a constant question, but this time it's the opposite, because most of the time when people are agitated, it's because their environment is offering them too much stimulation. I have too much to do, or yeah, I got too many demands on me, or But this time the demand is to chill. And it's just interesting when I look at the people that I know who have, again, been willing to take the program. For me personally, it comes and goes. Like I can just see there's a piece of me that loves the fact that I'm not traveling, that I don't have to do as much. I mean, there's something delicious about that. On the other hand, I see my own restlessness, like, trying to like keep up a certain, I don't even know what it is, movement and like striving, just because that's what I'm used to. And the reason I'm talking like this is it seems very clear to me that this is a cultural time when almost just about everybody could deepen their meditation practice. That it would almost be, it's like it's being handed to us on a silver platter. You know, like you can't quite be as busy and distracted as you got yourself used to. So you can read stupid novels and you can watch 4,000 Netflix things and you can talk to people you haven't talked to in 43 years on Zoom. All that's fine. But then there's also the pull to like deepen the practice of going inside. And the one other thing that I will say before I guide a practice or two is, I mean, any of you who have a meditation practice, you know that there are simply moments in meditation, and they may not even be anything more than fleeting moments, where there's a feeling of peacefulness that is rewarding in a way that nothing else we do is rewarding. And it's interesting because, I mean, that's what all the spiritual traditions say. That inside of us is something rewarding, and much more rewarding than anything that we could experience outside. And anybody who has any kind of meditation, prayer, or yoga practice knows that maybe it's just every blue moon, but there's something we touch, and you just know that there's an at ease and a rightness that nothing that has happened outside matches. And so even those of us with little practices can be reminded of that. Like even, I remember years ago when my practice was just doing yoga, and there'd be a few moments in the corpse position, just lying there. And I would feel an at ease and a peacefulness that I never felt anywhere else. And it was fully inside. It didn't depend on anything outside at all. And yet, for most people, that reminder doesn't go very deep. We don't spend that much time trying to find that place in us. But again, my belief system is that's what the meditation traditions are pointing us at. Anyway, let me lead maybe one or two guided practices besides just filling the air with talk. And so if you'd all be willing to let go of the distraction and be willing to close your eyes and just give yourself maybe 10 minutes without putting the to-dos or busy first. So as any time I would lead a practice, you need to start with a kind of affirmation inside of yourself. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm choosing this. And that I'm willing to focus. Like it's you give yourself a permission and an assent. And then you want to bring your attention inward. You want to make the focus of your time and energy inside of you. And you don't really, I mean, it's not required to have a specific practice, but it is required to relax. And for it's essential to relax your breathing. So that when you inhale, your abdomen expands. As I've mentioned, that's the only way your nervous system knows you're relaxed, is when you inhale and your abdomen expands. And it can be nice to be with your gentle, slow breathing in the center of your body. And those words are hopefully true, gentle and slow. And then one nice practice is when you exhale and your breathing is soft. Sometimes there's a moment before you inhale again. And without forcing it, like you don't want to strain or push it. Sometimes we get a second or two or three where we don't have to breathe, immediately. But again, no strain, but if you get that moment, just observe how quiet you can be. And then just as one last attention practice, just when you inhale, say to yourself, I am. And when you exhale, at peace. And again, this will only be effective as if your breathing is gentle and deep and centered in your lower abdomen. But as you inhale, I am. And as you exhale, at peace. And then we will draw this to a close by just taking a breath or two and gently allowing our eyes to open. You know, the I am at peace, or any of those affirmation things. I mean, that simple one is just a practice that Thich Nhat Hanh offers. So, I am at peace. But my experience is that for all of us, if we don't have something like that to remind us, then meditation practice, unless it's really long and deep, is not effective enough. So you can, I mean, it's wonderful to spend 20 minutes in the morning meditating. But we have to have something else during the day to anchor us and remind us. So for some people, it's just centering in their breath. Others, it's like really paying attention to the present. The the idea of mantra, just something to say to yourself as a reminder is, there's disagreement as to whether you really need 10,000 hours of practice to become expert. But there's no disagreement that you need a lot. Maybe it's 8,500, but it's not like 140. But, like, and when Malcolm Gladwell promoted that in his book of 10,000 hours, people argue about whether that number in and of itself means anything. But the idea that you need a lot of practice, nobody argues with. And meditation is like that. That in order for meditation to have serious impact, you need to have somewhere along the line of thousands of hours of practice. That, it's the kind of thing where you have to do every day, hour day, go on an occasional retreat for it to really alter the brain. But small gains occur from even short practice. But this is if you want to alter the way the brain processes information. But the, how would I put it, the shortcut is some other practice that you also have where you don't have to withdraw from the world, close your eyes, and gaze at your navel. And that's so there's the difference between informal and formal practice. So formal practice is you sit still, you don't move, and you focus. Informal practice, again, is if you remind yourself, breathe, relax your belly, or do the I am at peace, or follow some injunction that you've decided, like, I'm going to be kind. So my informal practice is when my kids are throwing each other across the room, I'm still going to be kind. All I'm saying is that meditation is not enough. It's a very good practice for quieting the brain. In order for it to make real strong difference, you got to do a lot of it. But if you accompany it with some other intentionality, then that expands the practice. So let me finish with just a couple of minutes of I am at peace, but not done in like just like formal practice. So what I'd like each of you to do is just like sit normally, not with your eyes closed, not necessarily with your back straight, but just sit comfortably and keep your eyes open, but unfocused. Just look at the wall or the ceiling or whatever. And in a relaxed way, like, again, you just like, instead of staring at your cell phone, you want to remind yourself, well, for the next 60 seconds, when I inhale, I'm going to go, I am. When I exhale, I'm just going to internally go at peace. And this is a wonderful adjunctive practice. So your eyes are open, you're just taking a rest. You're not doing anything in particular, but I am at peace. And it needs to be accompanied by the breath. So the inhale, I am. The exhale, at peace. And then just return your attention back to center, whatever. The reminder is that, I mean, for all of us, we choose practices that allow us to be centered and peaceful. It's not in the meditation. I mean, you can call it anything. It does. I don't think it matters what the form is, but the practice connects us with some part of us that's centered and peaceful. And the good news, but it's hard news, is when we are centered and peaceful, we think differently, we relate to people differently, the world is a less scary place. It's an entree to a different way of being. But I mean, again, it has to be practiced. These are these are all just practices. You know, they're just ways that different wisdom traditions throughout history have figured out, okay, if you do this long enough, you'll chill out. It's like that. That's the, you know, people have discovered that, like in different parts of the world, you'll chill out. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll see you guys again.